Alright, bro, so we back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about why is Philly so hesitant to trade Ben Simmons for James Harden. Alright, so let's get straight into the pros, man. First of all, James Harden, he gives you a championship ceiling. If you trade Simmons for Harden, Simmons right now has a fit problem. It's a guarantee that they're not making the finals this year, which would be a losing season for them. With that amount of youth and talent, you should be try to make a finals run, or at least the Eastern Conference Finals run every year. I don't think they're making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Frankly enough, if the matchup is bad enough, I don't know if they're getting out the first round. You know, they can still be a great regular season team but struggle in the playoffs. We've seen it happen in the past. Milwaukee Bucks, to name one, and that team is a lot more dominant than the Sixers team. So, you know, James Harden gives you a championship ceiling. Championship not as in he's going to win you one, but he can get you to the finals, and he should be able to. The East, one of the things that has been with James Harden is that his teams have always been better than some of the teams in the East that have made the finals. He just is in the West, and the West is ridiculous. It's fucking stacked all the time. That's why a lot of the teams he was requesting trades to were in the East. Brooklyn, Philly, Miami. He's like, man, I can take these teams to the finals. It should not be as hard as it should be in the West. And then the second thing, if Simmons doesn't work out, you won't get value like this in the future. If you trade Simmons 3 years down the line, Harden is 34 by then, do you think somebody will give you a Luka Doncic? Luka Doncic right now is actually worse than Harden. But somebody of that caliber for Simmons? No. Most of the times when you trade somebody as good as Simmons, you trade down in value or trade down in the player you're going to get. And this is the best market for Simmons right now. You want to trade this man. And look, Ben Simmons, he's going to be good in Philly. In the regular season, he should be pretty damn good. He should be an all-star again. But look, this is obviously a perennial all-star. But he hasn't reached superstardom yet because of that guy named Joel Embiid. They haven't had good enough spacing. He hasn't been in his own system. In Houston, he'd go to a system where he would thrive right away. He'd have a 5-out system. He'd have a good playmaker in John Wall. And yeah, John Wall is not a good shooter, but the fit shouldn't be horrible. John Wall is not a good shooter by any means. He's more of a threat out there than Russell Westbrook is. So they are okay if John Wall and Ben Simmons is your backcourt, or Ben Simmons moves to the front court. It doesn't matter. And the next one is right now you can give as little assets up for him. If I'm the Rockets, and this is only if I'm the Rockets. If I'm the Rockets and Philly only offers me Ben Simmons, or only offers me Ben Simmons and Matisse Thybulle with no picks, but Miami's giving me all these picks and Tyler Hero, and Brooklyn's giving me Karis LeVert and all these picks, I'm taking Ben Simmons. First of all, that's the best player there. And second of all, since I don't have my picks, I kind of need to play for the playoffs right now. I need to be like, okay, we don't need to be a playoff team, but we need to be rather competitive. We cannot be tanking. This is just going to be wasted seasons. So I get the best player out of all of them, and that's Ben Simmons. So you can legit throw as little as you want right there. I know the new GM in Houston is trying to finesse named, Raphael Stone. He's really trying to finesse. And good for him for that. He'll keep his job if he finesses. But you can give up as little assets. The trade will be like Ben Simmons, Matisse Thybulle, and some picks for James Harden and PJ Tucker. Bro, 10 out of 10 times I do that. PJ Tucker's another good defender. You won't have to worry about losing out on so much defense because you already brought in some more defense this offseason. Alrighty. Now let's look at Harden's stats last season. 34 points per game, 7.5 assists, 7 rebounds. Ben Simmons didn't give you that productivity. And yeah, Harden, it's not the most efficient because he's such a high usage rate, ISO heavy player. 44, 36, 87 splits, which are really good splits, but they're not the greatest. And his efficiency should skyrocket in Philly. Maybe not skyrocket, but it should improve for sure. Because look, when you play with, in Philly, a better teammate, like, bro, normally your efficiency will get better. When you play with a dominant big like Jokic, Jamal Murray's efficiency was so good in those playoffs, not only because he's a good shooter, but it's because Jokic, he brings so much gravity. He brings so much attention. Same thing with Embiid. I don't think Embiid brings as much gravity or attention because he's not the passer that Jokic is, or like the shooter that Jokic is. But look, all in all, bro, this would be great for Joel Embiid and Harden. But then you look at it, okay, so we're going to get Harden back. We need to see Embiid improve too, because if we're going to pick him over Ben Simmons, which Ben Simmons is more of a franchise player to me than Joel Embiid, or has more potential to be one. But let's look at what Embiid has now. He has more spacing than he's ever had in his career. Like in his first couple years, he played alongside Nerlens Noel and Jahlil Okafor. I'm like, bro, that is not spacing, bro. You were just packing the paint at that point, throwing up layups and hoping you get the offensive rebound. But look who he has now. He has James Harden, great three-point shooter. Seth Curry, one of the greatest three-point shooters of all time. Not as in high volume, but he has one of the greatest percentages off catch and shoot and stuff like that all the time. Tobias Harris, solid three-point shooter. Shake Milton, solid three-point shooter, can improve, but he's also a pretty damn good shot creator. Furkan Korkmaz, really good three-point shooter for his age and his experience in the league. And Danny Green, who's a streaky three-point shooter, but he's a really good defender. And then you think, okay, we losing Simmons. He's a potential DPOY candidate in the future, and you're right. But defense doesn't take a hit. Joel is good enough defensively to carry that team to a top 10 defense, and I like believe in it. Joel Embiid, I don't know if he's a better defender than Rudy Gobert, but I feel like he is on a similar level defensively as Rudy Gobert when it comes to positional defending. Now, Rudy Gobert, I mean, his switch ability is not that good. Same thing with Joel Embiid. That's not really what you need from a center, though, these days defensively. But he should be able to carry that team to a top 10 defense. So your defense is looking fine. You have Tobias Harris, who's a solid positional defender. James Harden, who has improved. Now, I'm not going to say he's a good defender, above average. He's legit an okay defender, and that's it. And then Danny Green, he can guard 1 through 3. Really good positional defender, too. And Dwight Howard, who's a solid backup defender and an okay switch defender. But look, man, for Philly, I don't really see the negatives to this. James Harden is not going to regress until Tobias Harris's contract is up. So then when James Harden starts to regress, bro, you make all that cap space up. Joel Embiid is getting on the later years of his contract. So when he starts to regress, your whole team is starting to, like, your contracts are freeing up. If I say, okay, I'm going to put James Harden on the Lakers, and let's say in this situation, AD is 38, LeBron is like in his mid-50s, I guess. But look, that would be a bad situation, because when James Harden is regressing, like LeBron and AD will be too, because they're so fucking old. But this is not the situation you have with Philly. And, I feel like they're in a lot better of a spot. Daryl Morey, he'll do the right things for this team, whether that means trading for James Harden or not. But yeah, that's the video, man. Like it and all that.